We are live. Let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Akuah, and we're back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. We have Lisa Akuah. How's it going?
Hi, I'm pretty good. Thank you.
Yeah, excited to have you here. We've been talking a little bit through Instagram and really excited to sit down and chat with you and get to know more about you.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. And so you're based in Germany, correct?
Yes, in Berlin.
Berlin, and born and raised in Berlin, or where are you from originally?
No, I'm from Frankfurt originally, so the center of Germany, pretty much. Okay. Most people might know it from the airport.
Yeah. Awesome. I have not been to Germany yet, but my my mom's side of the family is German, so I have a little bit of roots there, but other than that, that's all I have. So
you should come and visit.
Yeah,
it can be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's I've been on this kick recently to kind of go visit my roots. Like I've got extended family in the UK. I've got family in Poland because my dad's side of the family is from Poland, and then my mom's side of the family is from Germany. But I don't really know if we have any family still over there, just because they never talked about it. So,
Still worth a visit, I guess. And Poland and Germany are not that far apart.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, how's everything going? You just dropped a new single on Friday. So how's it feel to have a new song out in 2025?
The feeling never really gets old releasing music. I'm always super nervous before because I don't know, those songs are my babies, Mm-hmm. So letting them out into the world always makes me extremely nervous, hoping that people will like it. And so far, I've been pretty happy with Golden Seams. And it's also a very special song to me because it's the final single of the album before the album's coming out. And it's the title track of the album as well. So it feels extra special this time.
Nice. And so focusing on Golden Seams, the single, what's the story behind the song?
So I had been toying with the thought of calling my album something along the lines of imperfections or imperfectionist, because I am one. I'm not a perfectionist. Most people would say, oh, my weakness is I'm a perfectionist, but I'm the total opposite. Like I like the little flaws, and I know that it would drive me mad if I tried to continue making things perfect. So I just decided to accept whatever little mistakes there are, and I've learned to love them. But then I realized that imperfections and the perfectionist always has a bit of a negative connotation to it. And I wanted to make it sound positive because for me, it is something positive. So, during a chat with a friend, he kind of nudged me in the direction of the Japanese way of fixing porcelain, which is called kintsugi. So when there are pieces broken out, they fix them with a mixture of glue and ceramic and gold. And it looks really, really cool. And I thought, yeah, that's actually a really nice way of highlighting scars and highlighting imperfections and making them look beautiful. So, of course, I'm not going to call my song or my album something Japanese because other than liking sushi, I have no connection to Japan whatsoever.
Right.
But the translation is golden seam or gold seam. And I thought that's perfect, actually. And then knowing, okay, my album title is going to be something like that. The lyrics for the song just popped into my head and I had to write them down. And that's how the song came about.
Nice. And was it always the intent to put out an album, or because obviously you mentioned that this is the last single before the album comes out. Was that kind of always the intent, was to put out an album, or how does that kind of come around?
Well, since my last album release nearly 3 years ago, I'd been just continuously writing and playing new songs. And I thought, okay, I think I have enough now for an EP. Mm-hmm. And then I tried to decide which songs should go on that EP, and I realized it's actually way too many. So I thought, well, it has to be an album then. So that's how that came about. And and then it just happened naturally.
Fair. So is it fair to kind of say that you always, or that you're more into the idea of releasing bigger projects, bigger, fuller projects than like doing like singles or whatever?
Well, I think it does make sense to release singles, which I have
Mhm.
been doing. I've started releasing singles for this particular album last summer, I think, in July was the first single that came out. Leading up to an album, I think it's nice to have a number of singles that are going to be on that album
Mhm.
and to kind of whet people's appetite with that.
Yeah.
Um, because I have also released singles before that are not going to be on the album. So my songs Simply Human, If, and Lighthouse are not going to be on the album, even though they're
Mhm.
out on Spotify. I just felt that thematically they didn't necessarily fit, and also they've been out for way too long.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's up to every artist themselves whether they want to just release singles or if they want to release albums. But I feel that an album is a nice collection of songs that kind of fit together thematically, and only releasing songs that have nothing to do with each other um, probably doesn't give them enough credit in the end. So
Yeah.
I decided to go with an album again.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's, it's always interesting to see the approach that musicians take when it comes to releasing music, because obviously this day and age there's so much or so many different ways to kind of release music, whether it's put out just continually putting out fuller projects, whether it's an EP, LP, like a full project or whatever, or just kind of doing singles, because like Spotify is very singles driven. They love the consistency of singles, but then there's this like nostalgic thing coming back around where people
Yeah.
are like really getting into like fuller projects and just like enjoying the just like a full album.
Yeah.
So when's the album, the full album releasing? Have you announced the release date for that yet?
I haven't announced it yet, but it's going to be late March,
Okay. Awesome. So
hopefully.
what's running through your mind right now as that release date approaches?
Fear.
Fear?
So yeah, I feel that I'm quite behind on the planning, but in a way, I couldn't have done it any differently because I'm hoping to get some funding from the government to press some vinyls and also to pay someone to make the album design because I have no eye for design and no talent for it. I can make some single covers and stuff, but they always look a bit makeshift.
Mhm.
So I'd rather have someone do it who knows what they're doing and knows their way around paper and the printing process and everything. So, and I know this is an art form on its own, so I want to
Mhm.
be able to pay the person. So this is why I'm hoping to get some funding. But there's a restriction to funding in Germany. If you are being funded to record an album, the the funding period has to end first before you can actually get more funding.
Mhm.
So I'm currently still in the funding period for the recording process, even though all the money is already gone.
Yeah.
But the funding period still runs until the 1st of March. So I can't actually get any money before that. So it's all going to be a very tight squeeze time wise, but I'll just make the best of it, I guess. And
Yeah.
I think it's going to work out one way or the other. But
Fair.
yeah, I'm still quite stressed about it.
Completely understood. But even if you were to like say release the full project on Spotify and then even like a month or so later, then
Yeah,
the vinyl comes out, it's
that's probably going to happen. Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely not a bad thing. Well, let's put it that way. So,
Yeah.
the government funding is it like an artist program that the government of Germany runs, or how does that kind of all work?
Yeah. So it's called Music Initiative.
Hmm.
And they have various different pots of funding for music. So you can get album funding, which means that you can apply for support to record an album and to produce an album, and also some. You can divide the funding that you're applying for into different categories. So I got money for recording the album, paying session musicians and also getting some PR funding so I can advertise the new singles.
Mhm.
Um, some people invest all the money into recording process, but it really depends on how you split the money.
Mhm.
Um, and then there's also tour funding, so you can apply for getting some extra money when you're touring because a lot of the gigs as artists and yeah, with my level of success play are not paid or just based on donations.
Mhm.
So getting tour funding would mean that you have um, yeah, you're making sure that you're breaking even at least when you're
Mhm.
going on tour, you know? So
Right.
there's lots of different pots that people can apply for.
Oh, nice. That's really cool. And I'm just kind of looking at it from the outside. I'm guessing it's more to reward original musicians in Germany to
Yes.
kind of keep them in Germany instead of trying to go to the US or the UK or wherever, you know?
Yeah, I guess also to kind of help professional musicians because this day and age, everyone can record an album and put it out on Spotify, and people do. I curate a playlist myself, and I get a
Mm.
lot of I don't know I don't know if that's swear words now, but I get a lot of very bad songs submitted to my playlist. So
Okay.
everyone can put their music out. So with that, with those fundings, they want to make sure that professional musicians actually can get somewhere
Hmm.
with their music
Nice.
and kind of progress their careers even when they're not signed to a major label.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. It's funny that you brought up about your playlist and some of the we'll call it mediocre recordings that you get. Um, when in 2021, I was a DJ for a rock radio station, and we had a weekly show, and we would get some like we had a Google Drive folder that we just send out and like, hey, whatever music, upload your music here, and we'll listen to it and we'll decide if we want to play it or not. And it got so bad to a point that I had a little subfolder that it was labeled like the absolute worst things I've ever heard in my life. And there, it was like, it wasn't that big of a folder. Like there's probably like 30 songs by the end of it, but still, like the fact that there were 30 songs that it was like they were either recorded on their cell phone and it was like a full band thing. And it's like,
Wow.
okay, yeah, like they were bad for a lot of different reasons, but I 100% understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Um, so when did you start curating that playlist? Was that something that you just always liked doing, or?
No, I just I don't know. I think it started around the same time as I started releasing music myself
Hmm.
because I realized that it's really hard to get onto good playlists and get Spotify streams together through playlists.
Hmm.
And being in Berlin, where there's a huge indie music scene, I just thought, well, I'm just going to throw all my friends' music onto a playlist and hope that people will listen to it, make it the playlist public and share it on social media. And then I found out that once a playlist has 100 followers, you can submit it through a platform called Daily Playlists and have musicians actually submit their songs to this
Oh,
playlist and you
nice.
curate it. So I decided to do that because I felt that it's not just in Berlin that there are lots of underheard musicians. They're everywhere. So I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
just give people a platform. I still don't really know how many people are actually actively listening to this
Mm-hmm.
playlist, but I feel that I'm at least trying to do my part and helping people getting a bit more exposure with their music.
Right. Nice. It's almost feels like Spotify's missing a piece of their business where they can show those analytics of like, hey, your playlist got X amount of views this month, or
Yeah.
even if whether it's monthly or yearly, like it doesn't have to be like a daily thing, but still having some
Yeah.
kind of numbers to show would be really cool.
Yeah, you can see how many followers a playlist has, and as
Hmm.
an artist, you can see through which playlists your
Hmm.
streams are coming. But as a playlist curator, you can't actually see how many people of those who are following the
Mm.
playlist are actually listening to it.
Yeah, that's the troublesome part because it's like, how are you supposed to promote your playlist if you don't know how many plays you're actually able to generate, you know?
Yeah.
So, because that's something that I did especially during the pandemic, I really got into curating a playlist and, just kind of promoting that way. And then once the pandemic kind of ended, it was really hard for me to stay on top of it and be like, okay, we got to update it every week. And it was just kind of like, sorry.
Yeah, it is quite hard. Yeah, I usually try to do it every week as well, but I often just have to take breaks from it and just cancel the submissions.
Hmm.
So because in less than 2 weeks I'm going on tour, so I won't be able to actually sit down for an hour or more listening to the submissions because I always try to listen to as much as I can,
Hmm.
like not just the first 10 seconds, but kind of
Yeah.
skip through the song and different parts and see how it progresses and then decide whether I'm going to take it or not.
Yeah.
Um, so that takes a lot of time. So, and a lot of effort as well. So yeah, I do have to take breaks, even though I would like to do it more often.
Oh yeah, for sure. So you'd mentioned that you're getting ready to go out on tour. Are you
Yeah.
touring around Germany, Europe? Like how far out are you going?
So for this tour, I'm going down south. I'm going to southern Germany, and I'm playing one show in Switzerland as well.
Mm,
Um, it's going to be my first time playing in Switzerland. I'm very excited about it.
yes.
People have been telling me great things about the Swiss generosity when it comes to hat gigs. So I'm banking on that. Um, And yeah, I'm gonna play a couple of shows in the south of Germany then. Yeah, I had a show booked ages ago, probably about a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
in Freiburg in southern Germany, very,
Mm-hmm.
very, very far south. And I just decided, okay, I'm just gonna try and book loads of different shows around that date in the same area. And then yeah, it ended up being just southern Germany, which is nice.
Nice. That's really cool. It's cool that you're getting out and playing shows and you know touring. I guess is just the fact that you're able to do that because like you had mentioned, not every professional musician's able to get out and tour as much as they want to. So
Yeah.
um, so kind of looking back, looking at your music and stuff, how did you start getting into music? Like, was it did your parents introduce you to music, or how did you kind of start realizing, like, hey, I can play, I can sing, stuff like that?
Well, it started all pretty early in life. I always loved listening to music.
Mm.
Um, and then when I started preschool, I think it was, my teacher went up to my mother saying, "You have to send this child to a choir. She won't stop singing." I don't
Mm.
remember this personally, but my mom keeps telling me the story. So, and there was a children's choir in my hometown, small town just outside Frankfurt,
Hmm.
which my mom signed me up for. And also, my uncle is a luthier, so he builds guitars. He builds custom electric guitars by now. So he really wanted me to start playing guitar very early. So he had given me a classical guitar when I was very
Nice.
young, I think 3 or 4 or something. And then when I was 6, I was signed up for classical guitar lessons, which I kept up until I was 18 because I was a very lazy teenager and I never practiced. And I just thought, well, if I have to practice, why do it?
Hmm.
Singing was easier because it just came easy to me. I didn't have to practice for it, and lyrics just I learned by repetition, because I enjoyed singing. It didn't feel like a chore, and I stayed in that choir until I left my hometown, actually. So that's, I guess, how I got into music. For a while with my former classmates from school, I played in a progressive rock band,
Nice.
think kind of Tool, System of a Down stuff, and they also did some heavy metal covers that I took a step back from. um, so yeah, I was introduced to music very early. My parents both loved listening to music, and then I don't know, I I had some talent and was just in the choir for most of my life.
Nice. So, was there ever a reality that you would have kind of stuck with the band and done the more rock, gone more rock with your music, or was that just kind of something you did for a little bit and never saw a long term future in it?
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it. At the time, I didn't even I didn't even realize that music would be a career that is
Mm.
pursuable for me. You
Mm,
know, at the time I was doing an apprenticeship, and I thought this is what I want to do.
mm,
And during that apprenticeship, I realized, oh, maybe I do want to go to university because I really enjoyed learning what I learned
mm.
there. So at that time, I just really enjoyed singing and making music, but it never even occurred to me that this could be something that could be a
Mm.
career for me.
Yeah,
So
for
it
sure.
took me a very long time to realize that.
Nice. Now you'd mentioned that your uncle's a luthier.
Yeah.
Is that are luthiers still very common in Europe and Germany in general? Because I know here in the States they're still pretty hard to find. Like there's maybe one or two like per state in the U.S. I didn't know if that was something that's like still very common over in Germany.
Um, I think it is still pretty common, especially when it comes to repairs.
Hmm.
Um, so you can relatively easily find luthiers that would fix your instruments if
Hmm.
they were to break, or they can do a setup or customizations on them. I don't really know about custom built
Hmm.
instruments, though. They might be a bit rarer. And
Okay,
I don't really know about my uncle because I haven't been in touch with him for many years now, but I know that
gotcha,
he builds custom guitars for
gotcha.
musicians. And he, in the scene, I guess there is a scene, he is also pretty well known. But yeah, I'm more of a kind of folky acoustic person, and
Okay.
his guitars are more focused towards like the hard rock and metal area.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess that's a little bit more accurate towards the U.S. Is like you have people that are able to like repair and do like basically do repairs to guitars or whatever. But as far as like customizing and like making custom guitars, it's
Yeah,
still pretty rare. So that's cool.
yeah.
So how did you kind of coming out of school and doing like choir and stuff like that, how did you kind of land on a more psychedelic folk rock or folk path? How did you kind of get there?
Purely by chance, I guess. When I started writing music, I think it was pretty standard singer-songwriter, indie singer-songwriter music. I never wrote love songs, so I guess that that kind of put me apart from the rest a little bit.
Mm,
But the psychedelic actually just happened when I had my first psychedelic experience, and
nice.
it just started to happen that I really enjoyed making those sounds and writing lyrics that are way more introspective and kind of
Hmm.
going deeper into my mind.
Nice. That's really cool. And so you feel like the music you're making right now is more authentic to you and who you are as a person?
Um, I feel that all the music that I've made so far is very authentic to me as a person. It shows the growth
Fair.
that I've been through in the last couple of years. So everyone changes all the time, and I feel my music just reflects those changes pretty well.
Nice. That's really cool that you recognize that you as a person change throughout time and your musical tastes and like aspirations are going to change and you're not afraid to embrace that where a lot of people feel that like they need to ignore it because no I'm a folk artist, I'm a country artist, I'm a rocker, just like and I can't walk away from that. So
Yeah, I feel that the music that I listen to also is very different to what I write myself. I
mm,
do listen to a lot of rock and metal music. So one of my
nice.
most favorite bands in the world are Tool.
Nice.
So yeah, there's a big discrepancy between what I play myself and what I listen to often. So um, I kind of lost my train of thought now. But
No,
yeah,
you're good. You're good. That's really cool though that there is kind of a difference between like what you write and sing about or what the style that you write and sing in versus what you enjoy listening to. And who's to say down line that there isn't like a little bit more of a rock influence in your folk style?
could be. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, when I'm playing with my new band now, the Dancing Trees,
Mm-hmm.
it does get pretty heavy sometimes. So, and
Nice.
the second to last single that I released, Urchin Man, is pretty heavy.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Oh, So kind of looking forward, obviously you've got your tour, you've got the album coming up. What's the focus heading into 2025? Like once the tour wraps and once the album comes out, are you going to start just focusing on shows and promoting the album, or are you already looking at like the next project?
So the next focus is definitely going to be going on tour again
Hmm.
with the album then. I want to put together a little album tour. I've already got a couple of dates locked in. So that is the next step, and then just playing as many shows as I can over the summer and seeing where things take me. I don't really like to pressure myself into writing because if I do, I'm not going to like the results.
Sure.
It'll just happen naturally. And yeah, I've had a couple of very creative years, and I feel, yeah, if I just manage to tap into that creativity, it'll just continue like this. And I'm confident that I can continue writing, so I don't have to pressure myself into it. And I'll see what happens. I just really want
Right.
to play live. That is what I enjoy most, I
Nice.
think.
That's cool. That's really cool. And you said Germany's got a really cool independent scene.
I don't really know about Germany in general, but Berlin definitely has a very good indie scene. We can't really earn a lot of money playing in Berlin
Hmm.
because I don't know if you've heard that slogan that Berlin is poor but sexy, and the poor part is definitely the truth.
Mm.
And when you play shows in Berlin, they're gonna be, yeah, the audience is gonna be 80% poor musicians. So yeah, we have a great scene, but we can't earn any money. That's why we all have to take our shows to the rest of Germany or the rest of Europe. But yeah, it's a very, very strong support network around here. I don't know how it is in other German cities, though.
Fair. That's cool. I mean, the fact that you have a support network and it almost feels like the way you're describing it is the area that I'm in. So I live in Texas, in like central Texas, and the independent musicians can make a little bit of money, but they're not, unless they're willing to tour and
Yeah,
travel a lot, they're not going to make like a great living doing it.
yeah,
And so just kind of having, but it's still a very strong support network. Like there's four major cities around us, and it's like, oh, so and so's coming down from Dallas. Let's get them. Like let's make the show at least look good, so that you know. That's really cool that Germany's kind of got, or that Berlin's got a really strong support network. So,
yeah.
um, and is so you, how long have you been in Berlin?
So this is my 12th year now. I
Nice.
moved here in 2013
Okay.
to finish my studies. I
Hmm.
studied in Ireland for 3 years, and after I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I decided that the German social system is actually quite nice,
Hmm.
and decided to move back to Germany. And there weren't that many choices for me. I didn't really want to go back towards Frankfurt. Hamburg or Berlin were my top choices, and then I got into the master's program here in Berlin, and I've been here ever since.
Nice, nice, nice. So what did you study in school?
I studied sociology and information science in my bachelor's, and then I did information science in my master's degree.
Okay, gotcha. That's cool. And so are you with your music? Are you working a full-time job right now, or is music fully solely your thing?
I'm trying to make music fully my thing, so I'm 100% self-employed. I do have what they call it here a mini job, so I
Mm-hmm.
work once a week in an Irish pub. Um, and this is tax exempt because I'm below a certain threshold.
Hmm.
So for me, this is just like this little cushion of safety that I need to pay my rent. Um, and yeah, but the rest I'm trying to make work with the music. It is tough,
Hmm.
and it is definitely, it lets you sleep a little easier when you know that you have like a steady income coming in every month and
Yeah.
you won't have to struggle for rent. But I have learned to appreciate the freedom that it gives me to be fully self-employed and to just structure my days around myself and my
Hmm.
needs and what I feel my profession needs.
Nice. Well, you've definitely sold me. When I come over to Europe, I'm going to need to make a stop in Berlin.
Oh
So
yeah, I should.
yeah, it's one of those things where I've been doing this for 9 years, and we've traveled all over the U.S. and we've been here and there and everywhere, and we've not been international yet. We've not even gone to Canada, and Canada is not even that hard of a trip to make. It's just one of those things where we haven't done it, and we've had a lot of people in the UK, in Poland. We don't have that strong of a following in Germany yet, but I'm sure, especially like with this interview, and as I start exploring more into like Berlin and trying to figure out the scene there, hopefully we'll be over there. So
Oh yeah, you should come. It's great. A lot of people get lost here and just never leave,
right.
like me.
It was always my mother's dream to come over during Oktoberfest. But she passed away a few years ago, but it was always her dream to go over for Oktoberfest, and um, I'm a little apprehensive about that just because I don't like being in big crowds, and I feel like there's a lot of people in Germany during Oktoberfest. So
Well, it's mainly Munich, so
mm,
it's in southern Germany. Nobody really celebrates Oktoberfest, but the Bavarian people.
mhm.
And for me, Oktoberfest is something that I would run away screaming from. So
Okay, fair,
yeah.
fair. Well, because you see the video, or like in the movies they represent Oktoberfest in Germany, and it's like this big thing, and it's like I'm gonna get as far away from that as possible. That just seems,
Yeah.
like a lot of people. So yeah. Oh, so outside of music, when you need to escape, looking for free time or whatever, what do you like to do outside of music? What are some of your hobbies?
So one of my most favorite hobbies is bouldering.
Mm,
So I love climbing up walls. I started that about 6 years ago, and I'm not great at it, but I can feel definitely some progress, and I feel very strong, and it gives me a lot of confidence for life as well. Just knowing, yeah, I actually learned a lot about my body and like feeling my body while bouldering because you need to use all your muscles, also your
mm,
brain for bouldering. So this is actually my most favorite hobby.
mm-hmm.
I do read a lot of books. Um, And my partner and I recently moved into a new apartment that now has a big kind of garden terrace. So
Mm,
I'm hoping to get into gardening once the
nice.
spring comes. So far, I have been relatively unlucky with plants, though. So we'll have to see.
Fair,
This big tree back there, I inherited from the previous tenant. So he's still looking good because of him, not because of me.
fair.
Um, so yeah, definitely reading, bouldering, listening to music. We have a very nice vinyl player and a nice collection of vinyls, and just listening to music, going to concerts. I love traveling,
Mm,
obviously, but now that my job is traveling, I don't have to actually organize that many trips anymore because I get to see a lot of places and
okay,
actually, yeah, hopefully being paid for it.
nice. That's really cool. As far as the music you listen to, who are some? They could be independent musicians, mainstream musicians. Who are you listening to right now that's really interesting to you and like inspiring to you?
So I go through phases.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm in a phase where I listen to just the whole catalog of The Editors, a
Mm-hmm.
British band. I really, really love them. Then for Christmas, my partner gave me Paranoid and Sunburned by Skunk Anansi, who I'm also absolutely obsessed with. I have an absolute mega girl crush on Skin. She's the best. Then there's an American psychedelic rock band, All Them Witches. I don't know if you know them, who I'm also very obsessed with.
I've not heard of them, but it sounds like a band that I've seen, but I couldn't, like, if you played them for me, I wouldn't be able to tell you. So
They're great though. You
yeah,
should check them out. Uh, so yeah, it's a wild mix, and then I get those bursts of I need some Tool or I need some System of a Down, and then I just turn that up very loudly. And
yeah.
of course, I also listen to the people from the scene here
Mm-hmm.
because people are just constantly putting out music, and of course, I would listen to those songs. And Yeah,
Nice.
it's a wild mix.
Nice. My co-host on the, or my business partner, he's going to see Tool in what is it, April? His wife bought him tickets, or well, I guess technically he bought him and his wife tickets for Christmas. I don't know, like the way he was kind of describing it, it was like, okay, it sounds like you bought tickets to go see Tool, and then you just bought an extra one to bring your wife with, and used it as your Christmas gift. So, yeah,
Not very altruistic, but I would do that too.
right, fair. But it's a Tool, and then Maynard James Keenan's a bunch of his other bands. So it's basically just kind of a self supplied tour of just bands that are already working together. So
Yeah, I would totally go to that as well. I love pretty much all of Maynard James Keenan's projects.
yeah, yeah. It's I went through well, Tool's always got a constant spot in the playlist, but especially during the pandemic, I was starting to explore some of his other bands, and it was like, sweet, I didn't know this. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So kind of looking forward, you've got your tour coming up, you've got the album dropping. How do you keep your head on straight? Like there's like a lot coming up here. How do you keep yourself moving forward? Like it just seems like you'd get lost in the emotion of getting everything going.
Yeah, it is hard, but I would consider myself a relatively level-headed person, and I do sometimes procrastinate. It's definitely something that I tend to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that if I write things down that I need to do, I will do them. And if I have a deadline, I will definitely hold it. I've never been late submitting something if I had to. So um, I don't know. I just feel, especially now that I'm fully self-employed, the guilt is always there. Like when I'm doing nothing, there's always this little um, creature
Yeah.
called guilt sitting on my shoulder saying, you could do this now, you could do this now. Instead, you're sitting here on the couch.
Right.
So yeah, I do listen to this little guilt creature a lot, and that kind of pushes me forward.
Oh yeah. I think every creative deals with that, where they've got the guilt of, I've got all this time right now that's available that I could be working to make my passion, a little bit more self-sustainable, like, because I think every creative's dream is to be in a similar situation to yourself, where they have a lot more time to focus on their music, their podcast,
Yeah.
their video, like whatever their creative outlet is. But when they get off of work, like myself, like this is something I struggle with. When I get home from work, I'm just so tired that
Mm.
I need to sit for an hour, but then I sit for an hour and just kind of come down from work. At that point, it's 8, 9 o'clock, and it's like, I'm actually tired now. Like, I want to go to bed, And
Yeah.
so you got to try and find that energy to, get yourself going again and start focusing on your passion project. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that feeling as well. I used to work in a career job as well, which I thought I wanted to do until I realized that I didn't. Um, so yeah, I remember that feeling very well. And now it's just the rewards are just way more apparent. When you put in the work, the reward is there and pays off to do the work. So yeah, that
yeah.
drives me a lot.
Was there like a light switch moment for you that you realized, like, hey, this career job, 9 to 5, isn't what I really want to be doing? I want to do music. I want to work for myself.
No, it was a gradual thing. So I worked full time after I graduated uni for a while, and then I was looking for another job because I wanted to be paid a little bit more, but that was a bit difficult in the job that I was in. But I also wanted to work a little less, so I wanted more money for less hours, and I did find a job where I could reduce my hours by a day per week, and
Mm-hmm.
also got paid a little bit more because I wanted to spend more time making music.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of the start. And then I just felt, oh, I want to reduce my working hours even more. and I don't care about the money. So I reduced my working hours even more. But then the field that I was in is still very full of toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
And then Corona came as well, and it was just all too much. And I started feeling the symptoms of burnout and depression, and I just couldn't go on anymore. When I finished work, I was just like, I'm just going to lie on the couch and watch Netflix. I didn't have a social life anymore. I didn't write, I didn't play. And then I realized that I can't do this anymore. And that was kind of when I wrote a song about the feeling
Mm-hmm.
of being completely burnt out and not really feeling like myself anymore. It's also on Spotify. It's called If. And that song made me realize that I needed to get out, actually.
Nice. I was actually going to ask, during that time, during the time of the burnout of work, like feeling that burnout, did you find that it was impacting your music as far as like creativity? Were you inspired to write about those situations? And, the fact that you were willing to kind of be that vulnerable and just kind of tell that story, especially in your songs, that's really cool.
Yeah, I felt quite blocked in many ways during that time, but this song just had to come out, I guess. So I didn't have a high creative output during that time, but this song definitely was one of them.
Nice. I remember about a year or two ago, just to try and subdue the burnout from work, I tried to pitch my boss the idea of, instead of working 5 8-hour days, I wanted to work 4 10-hour days, because it, like, 8 to 10 hours isn't that big of a jump for me. Like, I tend to work 10-hour days anyways. So if I could work 4 10-hour days and then just have that 3-day weekend, it would free me up to do so much. And they're like, well, we can't really do that. We need you here all 5 days. And so now, instead of working 5 8-hour days, I work 5 10-hour days. And it's just kind of like, sweet, let's not do this anymore. So yeah, it's stressful, but you know what? Eventually here, I will be working for myself. So
yes.
Yeah. So I do want to thank you so much for jumping in and having this conversation with me. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thanks for having me.
If anybody wants to check out your music, live shows, social media, all that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
I think Instagram at the moment. So on Instagram, you can find all the links, you can find all the references to everything, and also obviously all the streaming platforms as well as YouTube. And yeah, but Instagram is a good place to start.
Awesome. And then one thing that we like to do with everybody that comes on the podcast is pass on a little bit of knowledge to the younger generations of musicians. So what's a piece of advice you would like to pass on to a younger version of yourself?
Yeah, I think that would be to embrace the imperfections and not even try to be a perfectionist, because the imperfect things even around us in our lives can be very inspiring. So looking for the little things that seem very insignificant can hold a lot of beauty, and just, walk through life with open eyes.
Awesome. Well, once again, I appreciate you so much for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will catch y'all later. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Live and Amplified's Indie Fusion podcast. If you'd like to support anything Live and Amplified does, please follow us on all of our social media platforms at Live, the letter N, Amplified. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, any of them, all of them, at Live, the letter N, Amplified. And if you would like to buy any official Live and Amplified merch, you can do so at our merch shop, link in the description below. Once again, thank you all. Have a great day.